Hello friends, today we're going to be talking about tattoos and MS. Can you get tattoos if you have MS? If you're new here, hi, hello, you're very welcome. I have MS. I was diagnosed in August of 2021 and I myself have many a tattoo. Now, before I get into this, quick disclaimer, I'm not a neurologist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm not a medical professional, I'm not a medical advisor. All of those things are not me, nor am I a tattoo artist. Information in this video is advice / recommendations that I've been giving from medical professionals, but also information that I've read online and other people's experience. Other people's experiences having MS and having tattoos. If you have MS and you want tattoos, please talk to your team, your consultant, your doctor, medical professional, somebody that knows your story, someone that knows your case, etc., because they are the ones that know you the best. They know your MS the best, all your treatment, all that sort of stuff. So they are the ones with the knowledge, the experience, qualifications. They are the ones that can give the correct advice. I'm just here to share information. So let's get into it. Okay, so about me, I, as I said, have MS and I have tattoos. I got tattoos before I was diagnosed with MS and I have gotten many a tattoo since getting diagnosed with MS. And the disease modifying therapy / treatment that I'm on is Ocrevus, also known as ocrelizumab, which I take every 6 months. Okay, so these are the pieces of advice that I've been given personally. So I was told, yes, I can get tattoos while on Ocrevus, which is treating my MS. However, they don't advise that I get it within the first month of receiving Ocrevus. And this makes sense because for me, when I get Ocrevus, that drug depletes your B cells. So that first month after you've received that treatment is when you're at your most vulnerable. Now, don't get me wrong, because it's depleting your B cells, you're still a high risk person. However, that first month after you get your treatment is when you are at your most vulnerable because naturally your B cells begin to replicate, divide and build back up gradually over the 6 months. But that first month is when they've been depleted the most, if you will. So that makes sense. I'd be way more susceptible to infections. It would be harder for my body to recover from an infection. If you've taken away B cells, part of your immune system that fights off infection, and you now come in contact with an infection, you don't have the same power of getting rid of that infection. So way more susceptible to infections, harder to fight off those infections, which means that you could have that infection for longer. But also in terms of like your tattoo itself, it could take longer to heal. So if it, let's say it takes your body, I don't know, for argument's sake, 2 weeks to heal a tattoo, it could be way longer. It could be double that time. And the longer your tattoo is a wound, the higher the chances of you becoming infected because it's an open wound. Your skin is literally a physical barrier from the outside world to your internal part of your body. So as long as the skin is broken or it's open, you're way more susceptible to infection. Because like at the end of the day, when you get a tattoo, that is trauma to your body. Your immune system kicks in because your immune system doesn't know that that's a tattoo. That doesn't look at it and be like, that is some sick ink. It thinks, oh, well, we've just received trauma to this area. Let's try heal this. And rightly so. I mean, your skin is opened. But if your immune cell or if your immune system has taken a beating, i.e. you've gotten treatment, it's now harder on your immune system to be able to heal the tattoo because it just doesn't have the immune cells. So anyways, I was told to avoid getting tattoos definitely after the first month, you know, somewhere in the middle of my treatment, but it's that first month that I really have to avoid. And I actually also seen this on a blog post. Again, you know, you have to take everything with a pinch of salt on the internet, and this was just a blog post. So you know, but it's good to see that some information on the internet actually matched what I was advised by my team in the hospital that I go to. And it's for people on Ocrevus for treating their MS if they can get tattoos, and it actually says to not get it within the first month of receiving your treatment because it could take longer for the tattoo to heal. So I thought that was actually really cool that those two pieces of information matched. I will also say, because I've said this in other videos, if I was getting an MRI, the 6 weeks prior to that MRI, I wouldn't get tattoos. And that was because one time in one clinic that I went to get an MRI, on the questions that you fill out before you go in to get your MRI, like do you have any like a heart pacemaker thing, or if you have any like prosthetics, all that kind of stuff, you get asked a load of questions. And one of them was like, have you had tattoos within the last 6 weeks? And I was like, what? Did not know that this was a thing, but also I was so new to getting MRIs and I actually hadn't even gotten my MS diagnosis at that stage. Ever since then, I was like, oh, well, I obviously can't get a tattoo then within 6 weeks coming up to my MRI. However, that was only in one clinic, but any other clinic that I've gone to, hospital I've gone to, MRI that I've received, I've never ever been asked, have I had a tattoo within the last 6 weeks? It was just that one clinic. I was also never advised by any of my team, like my neurology team, my MS team, to not get a a tattoo within 6 weeks prior to your MRI. So I don't follow that anymore. I actually know a girl as well that has MS, and she was getting a tattoo, and she had her MRI really close to that tattoo appointment. She forgotten she had rang I think it was the radiologist or the radiology department. It was either the radiology department or her neurology team, I can't remember. And she had said, oh, I'm getting a tattoo, but I have my MRI. Is that going to be an issue? Because apparently some inks can show up in MRIs, and they were like, we've never ever seen an issue with tattoos interfering or skewing the results of an MRI. So I was actually buzzing when she told me that information. I was like, oh, this makes my life so much easier in terms of planning and picking dates for tattoo appointments. Anyways, so that was a thumbs up. And also I just kind of wanted to address that because I had said in plenty of videos before this, being like, oh, I can't get a tattoo because I'm coming up to my MRI appointment. Just in case you're seeing like a difference in previous videos to current videos, I don't follow that guideline anymore. And I was watching a video recently of Aaron Boster, I think that's how you pronounce his surname. He's a neurologist, but he also makes YouTube videos. So cool. And he had actually made a video on getting tattoos and having MS, and if he sees any issues with it. And one of the points that he mentioned was tattoo ink and MRIs. And he had said that, oh, some people are worried about, I think he mentioned it was iron in tattoo ink, and if that could show up on an MRI. And he said that it's only if you're using a certain type of MRI. So there's different, I'm probably not using the correct terminology here, but there's different strengths of MRIs. And for the most part, people get a certain strength which it's not going to show up on, whereas if you get a really high strength MRI, it potentially would show up on that. So I'm going to put in a clip now of what he said because he explains it so much better.
I personally am not concerned about the risk of it triggering an attack or worsening disease, not at all. Now, sometimes there's a question mark about tattoos that have iron as part of the ink and whether this could interfere with the MRI. Unless you're using ultra-high field MRI imaging like 7 Tesla and up, I really don't think that's a problem. And most community standards use scanners that are 1.5 Tesla or 3 Tesla, where there really isn't a problem. That being said, it may be reasonable to ask the tattoo artist if there's iron in the ink, just so that you're aware.
I will also leave his video linked below if you want to check it out. It's literally only like 3 or 4 minutes long. We'll love that. But it's great to see a neurologist making a video on something like tattoos and MS, because I feel like it's not spoken about that much on the internet. But also, like, it's great that he's a neurologist. This is what he specializes in. He has his own patients, but he makes YouTube videos. Love it. I will say it is super important to go to a reputable tattoo studio / tattoo artist. Like, do your research. Don't go to kind of dodgy places. Now this is probably more so in America that you'd see like $10 tattoos, $20 tattoos. I would steer clear of them. There's a reason why things are cheap. Now don't get me wrong, we love a bargain, but when it comes to something that can go really wrong, which tattoos can, like you can literally get sepsis, cross-contamination, just the chances of infection if you're not following the correct hygienic procedures, it can be really dangerous. So, you know, if something's too good to be true, it probably is. Another piece of advice I would give, and this is more so for your tattoo artist, is absolutely tell them that you have MS. Don't keep that information from them. They do need to know people's underlying conditions. They need to know the client that they have. They need to know your background, so don't keep that information from them. Last piece of advice is follow the guidelines that your tattoo artist gives you. There's aftercare that you have to follow for when you get a tattoo. Some tattoo artists, they vary in their aftercare. Certain types of tattoos require different aftercare, but whatever the advice is, definitely follow it. If you do run into trouble in terms of healing, in terms of potential infection, absolutely keep them in the loop. / seek medical assistance if you think it needs medical assistance, or if your tattoo artist recommends you seek medical attention. I've also seen some Reddit posts of people talking about getting tattoos, having MS, being on Ocrevus. I know I'm making this a lot about Ocrevus, but that's the treatment that I'm on. I can't really speak on behalf of other treatments. I will leave that Reddit linked below. People talk about their experiences. So many people have gotten tattoos while on Ocrevus / having MS. So I will leave that Reddit page linked below. So from my perspective, again, this is just my point of view, I would say that you can get tattoos if you have MS. I have gotten so many tattoos since getting my diagnosis. I do follow the instructions that my tattoo artist gives me. I don't get my tattoos within the first month, sometimes even 2 months. I do try to give my body that chance to build up an immune system again, somewhat. However, the biggest piece of advice I can give is please just follow whatever guidelines your medical professionals are giving you. They are the one that know your specific MS case. They know what treatment you're on. They know the ins and outs of all your relapses, even like the type of MS that you have. There's a lot that plays into it. So they're the ones that can actually assess your case and recommend to you if it is or isn't safe to get a tattoo. So the biggest kind of takeaway from this video, in my perspective, in my opinion, consult with your neurology team, whether that's your consultant, your MS nurses, all that kind of stuff, because they are the ones with the medical background and they're the ones that know you best in terms of your MS, your case, your background, your treatment, all that kind of stuff. And like I was saying, I haven't spoke about any other treatment for MS. That's just not the background that I have. I don't know if there's certain treatments that they would recommend you don't, but that's not the background that I have. And your story might be different to mine. So even though I've gotten loads of tattoos, loads and loads of tattoos since getting diagnosed with MS, my story is going to be different to yours. There's no two MS stories that are the same. So that is all for now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it has been educational. I hope you have enjoyed it. Let me know if you have MS and if you've gotten any tattoos, / if you have tattoos. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And I shall see you all in the next video. Bye!